podcast sponsored by Leader Lift. I'm so excited to have one of my longtime and great friends to Inspire Church and into my own life as well. Chad Veach from Zoe Church in Los Angeles and soon coming to a city near you. I'm telling you right now, franchise is going all over. Chick-fil-A, watch out. It's so good to have you, Chad. I love you, man. Thank you for making time.
Oh, thank you for having me on. Are you kidding me? I would do anything for you. And first of all, I got to just acknowledge your background setup. You got the shoes, you got the basketballs, the whole, I mean, wow.
And I got Jesus. I got Jesus right behind me.
I thought that was Lion King.
No. Let's get a closer look.
That's Jesus.
That's a lot.
Sorry, man. It was pixelated on my screen. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I need to bring it up. Oh man, that's what. Okay, it's not working now. See, Chad, see what you did. But hey, it's so good to have you, man. How's the family? How's everything going right now in LA during COVID?
Oh man, I just got off Craigslist and I'm trying to get rid of at least 3 or 4 of my kids right now. Man, it's been great to spend 3 straight months with them, man. Family time. No, we've been having the best time, honestly, watching these guys grow up and wrestle and have fun. The family's doing great. Thanks for asking. We're enjoying this time.
Well, I tell you what, Zoe Church has been blowing up since the day that you started. And so excited and proud of you, man. I love what you're doing. I love watching you from a distance and seeing all that's going on in your life. I know the days that me and you and Aaron Cordero would hang out and play some golf. I remember playing basketball with you one day with Roger and with Andrew Gard and some of the boys. And I thought if there's anybody who's on the pulse when it comes to basketball, it's guys like you. So I wanted to interview you and just get your take on The Last Dance. I'm sad. Like last Sunday, I felt so empty. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, last Sunday they made us watch Lance Armstrong.
Worst thing that could happen was we have to watch a cycling guy in spandex. Come on now.
All over Europe, we're like, wait, we were just in Chicago with Pippen and Rodman and the boys, and now we're in France. And it was a guy in a Speedo. This is not cool, man.
Yeah, no, not cool. So, Chad, tell me, who's your favorite basketball team? Let's talk basketball for a little bit.
Well, right now it's the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm loving the Lakers. Moved here 5 years ago. And, I just love going to Staples and watching them and being around the game. Growing up, though, it was the Sonics, and it was great to watch them in The Last Dance. Oh, yeah. You were a Sonics guy because you grew up right outside of Seattle, am I right? Yeah, exactly. And I remember that team with Gary Payton and Sean Kemp and Detlef Schrempf and, the Sonics. That was like everything growing up. So when our team got stolen and taken to Oklahoma City,
right.
I had already lived in L.A. and Shaq and Kobe had three-peated.
Right.
So I was here for that and going to Bible college. And so I was always like, I was loving the Lakers and being around the parades and all that. So when the Sonics got stolen, I go, until Seattle gets another team, I'm a Laker fan. So I've just been a Laker fan ever since.
Oh, that Sonics team was really good with GP and Detlef Schrempf, no doubt about it. Sean Kemp was a man-child, wasn't he?
Crazy. And I think he is, the equivalent to Father Abraham now. I think he has like 12 kids. But, man, the Rain Man could jump out of the building.
Oh, he was amazing. But after him came Ray Allen, right? Wasn't Ray Allen there?
Yeah, Ray Allen was there right after and played really well. And people forget, we had KD in a Sonic uniform his rookie year.
Right.
And the next year, we drafted Russell Westbrook. So the James Harden, Russ Westbrook, and KD team should have all been in Seattle. It should have been Seattle Supersonics that were in the finals against LeBron and the Heat that year that OKC went.
Oh, that's so true, bro. That's so true. What a team. It's really sad that Seattle lost that team to Oklahoma, but one man's loss is another man's gain. One man's trash is another man's treasure, right?
I'll tell you what.
So tell me a little bit, how did you start? Because most of the guys that might be listening to this, they know Chad, they know Zoe, but they don't know the backstory of how you began. So we all love Michael and the 6 Rings, right? So tell us before Chad's 6 Rings. Tell us, what was Chad Veach like growing up, your family, your household, everything?
Yeah, so, I mean, uh, you know my dad and my family really well. We've
Dave
known
and
you
Wendy.
for a long, long time. Yeah, so I'm a pastor's kid. I grew up in a great home in a great church. My dad pastored a great church on a small island in Washington.
Is that
About
Whidbey?
Yeah, Whidbey Island, about 2 hours north of Seattle.
Wow.
And I grew up in a little small town. And right when I graduated high school, I moved to Los Angeles to go to Bible college. So I really didn't come to the big city or work at a church until I moved to LA. So yeah, growing up, I loved my family, basketball, church, very simple life, and then just came to LA and pretty much did the same thing. We're always holding for the youth ministry like little 3-on-3 tournaments and playing basketball with kids, beating them and being like, come to church tonight. And so yeah, it's just my story is I've only ever lived in Seattle or LA.
Mm.
So I graduated high school, moved to LA, lived there for 6 years, go back to Seattle area for another 10 years, and then come back to LA. So it's Seattle, LA. That's the way we go.
Are you still playing basketball?
It's so funny. I never play basketball anymore.
Mm.
I just last week I picked up a ball to shoot a little video. And up to that point, I haven't picked up a ball in I don't know how long. And
Really?
I fell in love with two things. Do you guys have Orange Theory Fitness in Hawaii?
Orange Theory. We got a couple of Orange Theories. Yeah.
Yeah. So I love Orange Theory and I love golf, and that's it.
That's what I heard. I heard you a golfer. I heard you scratch already.
I wish, but I got so into golf. It's like that's all I want to do is those two things.
I love golf. I'm not as good as that. I'm not that good at golf, but I love golf. I enjoy it.
There are very few people I know that are good at golf. Golf is good at mastering us. We are not good at mastering golf.
Great. That's so true. Chad, I want to ask you some basketball questions. So, you got the teams of the 80s, the 90s, and the nows, right? So what brand of basketball you liking more, the 80s, the 90s, or the nows?
I would have to say 90s. 90s basketball, the game has evolved so much, but I fell in love watching 90s basketball. So I'm sure kids today are growing up loving Steph and, Braun and KD and, the likes, James Harden and everybody. But yeah, growing up in the 90s, it was like Magic, goes out 92. But you have Jordan era. You got, all of the guys that didn't win a ring because of Jordan's dominance. You got in that era the Knicks with Ewing. You got the Rockets eventually will win. When Jordan takes that break for 2 years, they go back to back. But Hakeem didn't win forever. Barkley didn't win a ring because of Jordan's dominance. I just felt like the cast that we had I fell in love with watching those guys play basketball as well. So it's fun to watch today. I still watch like crazy, but man, there was nothing like Jordan rules.
Yeah, the 90s were great. I love the 80s because towards the end of the 80s, of course, I'm a lot older than you, a little bit older than you. My team was the Detroit Pistons. I was I was a bad boy, bro. I had bad boy at heart. I would say that I was one of 7 Detroit Pistons fans in the state of Hawaii. And I was super excited, bro, every time we won. I remember I would go emotionally up and down with the team. I don't know. I was so attached to them. I loved them so much. That, to me, that was the heyday of the 80s, the late 80s. But then, man, the 90s, it just went to a whole nother level with the Jordan rules. So playing it last in the 98 year. I mean, what year was his last championship? Was it 98, 97?
1998.
To imagine that guy playing so much. Chad, what are the different things that stood out to you from that last dance? Like what piqued your curiosity during that Sundays that we would all watch?
Well, I thought one of the great things was when, I felt like they could have ended it at the end of episode 7 or 8 when he starts to tear up and he says, cut. And he walks away because he had gotten so emotional talking about his competitive drive and basically saying people might think he's a tyrant after watching this, but they've never won anything.
Right.
And the cost of winning. And even him referring to going after Steve Kerr and Luke Longley and Kukoc and all these guys after he took a break, they were, acting like they were somebody, and they didn't bleed with that team. They were living off of his equity.
Right.
And so he felt like he came in and, had to punch him in the jaw to be like, you guys haven't won anything. I loved the price of winning, the cost of leadership, and the competitive nature in which he lived his life. He didn't forget anything. He never forgot, what people said, or he just was finding fuel. I think so much of leadership is just trying to find some fuel. You read an article, or someone says a comment, or something happens with bad attendance, or, fill in the blank, giving's down. You're fueled sometimes by that negativity. Yeah. And I think greatness is fueled by losing sometimes.
Right.
Right. I love that about watching Mike, he wasn't just driven by winning. It was George Karl not saying hi to him in a restaurant that was like, all right, I'm going to go out and I'm going to crush this guy. I love
and
that.
He's like, I love it too. This has been like the best series that I've ever seen in basketball or any sports. It's been like every Sunday. Can't wait. I've probably seen it 2 or 3 times already, maybe 3, 4 times, staying up late at night watching. Lisa goes, you watching that again? I said, this is amazing. I can't get enough of this. And I would have to identify with that. When he said, you don't want to play like that? Then don't play like that. Cut. And when he started crying, I was like, I was crying too, bro. I was feeling it. I got it.
It was a moment.
It really was.
And I'll tell you, the other guy that I loved on the show was the security guard with the Jerry curl that beat him in the back room. That guy looks like he's the coolest guy I've ever seen.
Yeah. I also love that he had his security detail, and he was actually closer to them than he was with his teammates. He found an affinity with older men. Maybe it was a father figure thing because his dad died, or he already respected older men. When you look at Dean Smith and you look at Roy Williams, I love Roy Williams in episode 1. He goes, and he never freaking turned it off. Remember that moment? It was chicken skin, man. It was chicken skin moment, bro. It was amazing.
I love that. And I love, I didn't know that about Gus, his security guy that got sick for a while. And I, all the stuff I knew about Jordan and watching him for so many years, I had never heard that story before.
Yeah. Never knew it.
I just like that there was parts of the documentary that, as much as, we've all followed basketball and have been avid fans, I had never heard that. I didn't realize the extent of his beef with Horace Grant.
Yeah, I never knew that either.
I didn't know it was that deep. I remember that book coming out and that guy naming Horace as one of his sources.
Sam Smith.
Sam Smith, yeah, but I didn't realize the extent of his grudge match.
Yeah, I remember reading the Jordan Rules in the beginning. That book came out by Sam Smith. I don't know what year it was, but I picked it up, and it actually shed some light. And I little tarnished the armor a little bit, to be honest, when I read it. Kind of like your fantasy of like who he is, be like Mike, kind of went down a little bit. But it's the reality behind the scenes of you don't win championships without being a tough guy. And it was basically about Jordan being a tough guy and berating people in practice who weren't giving it their all. The Scotty Burrells who were coming in smooth, not taking things serious. And you even saw that translated into Kobe, which I saw some things on YouTube about Kobe and his practices, and watching, man, just rip Jeremy Lin and Swaggy P. And part of you feels sorry for him, but unless you're in it, you don't really understand it, right?
That's it. And I think that, greatness always demands the best out of people. It first demands the best out of itself, but then what you notice is because it puts such a high premium on their own effort and their own excellence and their own preparation, if anybody else isn't living up to that standard, they're kind of like, hey, we that's not how we roll. Yeah. Like, we work hard around here. We engage. We're serious. When it's time to play cards on the team playing, we can do that, and I'll take your money. But when we're out here on the court, it's all out. Yeah.
I love it. Did you identify with any of this? Like you thought to yourself, like, man, I've been going at this, 5 years now? And, Johnny come lately's on team and, thinking like, where's my time? Where's my platform? We're not going to get a chance to or anything like that. I don't know. You see kind of that?
Yeah. I mean, I felt like I related with it on a certain level. I feel like, obviously, how can you really relate with Michael Jordan? You can't really too much to a certain degree. He's in such a rare air. But I feel like what I related with was the dynamic of wanting to lead people well. Mm-hmm. And I thought one of the best moments for me was the Steve Kerr moment
Yeah.
and Steve Kerr winning over the respect of Jordan and standing up to him and punching him back, and the evolution of that relationship. I think there's a lot of truth there, that you got to stand up to people, you got to not back down, and just because I think the great thing for you and I is that you and I lead communities, and at the same time we are exposed to be around great leaders that are above us. And I really like the way Steve Kerr navigated that, because I think sometimes in life you got to stand up for yourself, stand up for what you represent, your family, your name, and you see Steve Kerr come in to hit the game winner and win Jordan's respect, and and then who would have thought he'd go on to win all these rings with the Warriors, but he was developing under Jordan to be a competitive force. So I really like the Steve Kerr part.
Yeah, I did too. I really enjoyed how he analyzed things cerebrally. I also, I really appreciated that. And to think about it, he was coached under Phil Jackson, played under Michael Jackson, led under Greg Popovich. I mean, tight with Greg Popovich, who's leading a great organization. I mean, still good to this day. And then went over to the Suns, led that organization as the general manager. I think the Golden State Warriors got a piece of gold when they got him. It's been pretty amazing. I would love your insight on this. So I'm gonna hit some names, and I want your name. I want your reaction. Okay, take as long as you want or short as you want. So it's a little bit of rapid fire, machine gun style. So here it is. Today's NBA. Here we go. Steph Curry.
Best shooter we've seen since Reggie Miller. Maybe the best ever.
Amen. Right on. LeBron James.
Top 5 all NBA player. Incredible human. Pass first guy. Not Michael Jordan whatsoever in terms of his makeup and DNA as far as competitive nature, but championship winner, and I think will go down as a global icon at the level of Tiger, Serena, Jordan. I think he's on that trajectory.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. James Harden.
Insane shooter, scorer, ball handler. I think he's very polarizing to the game because he is so one-on-one basketball, and that's what people despise. There's a generation that hates that. But, man, I've been watching James Harden since he was at Arizona State doing the same thing, and he's insane to watch. I don't know how he gets the ball in the hole sometimes.
Just incredible, and incredible feet too, man. His feet are amazing. Chris Paul,
I think he's, again, kind of controversial. Seems like there's issues that are surrounding him all the time with everywhere he leaves, teammates, kind of backbite and bicker. But I think he's a leader, and he's a dog. He's competitive. He's down to fight. He's, a couple of years ago when he was in the Rockets, they get in a big fight in game 1, and Rajon Rondo spits in his face, and they're ready to go. They try to sneak in the locker room and fight, and he's just been like that. The Clippers were so hated, I think, because him and Blake. Blake is also one of those guys that's hated. I think Chris Paul's hated, but I think he's hated because he's a leader and he's competitive. I like Chris Paul a lot. I love his ball handling. I love his passing ability. I think if Chris Paul doesn't get hurt 2 years ago in his groin, Western Conference Finals, I don't know if the Warriors beat the Rockets. Chris Paul was playing one heck of a series, and I don't know if the Warriors come out on top. They were rolling with Chris Paul. That was sad to see him go down.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They took him to the wire, man. They really did. Kevin Durant.
One of my favorite people, first of all. Just a kind soul and a friend. Insane scorer. I think very misunderstood off the court. I think he's just a feeler. I think at the end of the day, what I love about KD, he just wants to hoop. He's in love with the game. He really doesn't care about much of anything. He's a hoop head. He's a hoop junkie. I was talking with some of his friends yesterday. That's all he really cares about. So I love him. I love watching him play it. I hope he can come back and not just play at the level that he was playing before his Achilles injury, but take it to another level. It'll be fun to watch Kyrie and KD, wreak havoc in Brooklyn next year.
Absolutely. I hope he heals well. I thought if there's anybody benefiting by this tragedy of this season, it's the guys who are injured. You know, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, they're getting healed up. Right.
100%.
Yeah, man, I want to talk about that game, though. That game broke my heart. That game where KD went down, and then the next game, and then you see, what's his name? Klay Thompson, Danny Green brushed by him on a layup, right? I couldn't believe it. We saw the top all of a sudden drop to like the bottom. That was brutal.
So sad.
Brutal. Okay, here we go. Continue this. Klay Thompson then.
Oh, insane shooter. One of my favorite guys to watch shoot the basketball. All around great guy. Basketball royalty. You know, his father was a Laker and did so well, and still calls our games for the Lakers, by the way. His dad still does color commentary for the Lakers and is on our sports radio every day. So I love listening to him talk about Klay. I've always, been fond of Klay because he went to Washington State University, and so he's a Washington boy, and I think the world of Klay.
Yeah, that Washington State team was a good team. They made it to the Sweet 16, I think.
Yeah.
They had Derek Lowe from Hawaii. Yeah, Derek Lowe. He was good.
Woo, Derek Lowe.
Tony Bennett was the coach, and now at Virginia.
He went straight after that year to Virginia.
Yeah, amazing. All right, here we go. Jason Tatum.
Oh, man. Talk about a guy that's going to do really well. I just saw, they showed last night the highlight where he comes to the middle of the lane and dunks on Braun like his rookie year. He's just, wild length, wild ability. Seems like he's got a drive in him. And guess what? By the way, he's playing in the right city for his game. Boston is not normal. Boston takes a Terry Rozier and turns him into Scary Terry. Boston takes Isaiah Thomas, 5'0", and turns him into an MVP. Boston pulls out the best of the best of you. So he is set up. If he was in Charlotte, I'd be like, oh, Jason, who? But he's in Boston. And it's something about – there's a parallel there.
Yeah.
Remember, your gift is very limited.
Right.
But you get around encouragement. That's the power of honor or the power of praise, the power of encouragement. It pulls out the best in you. Why do people love the Garden? Because it's environment. I know this is a faith-based. I can say this.
Yeah, camp there for a while.
When we talk about the word flourish,
right?
Those who are planted in the house will flourish. Flourishing has everything to do with environment. You will never flourish in the wrong environment. So Jason Tatum, is he gifted? Is he incredible? 100%. But you throw him in Cleveland, you throw him in the Bobcats uniform.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same.
No.
He's in Boston, and Boston's environment will cause a good player to become great just based upon the environment.
And the same thing on the opposite end. A bad environment will take a great player and not do much with him. He might plateau at that moment.
Look at Kevin Love. When Kevin Love was in Minnesota, he was the next Kevin Garnett. He was the next KG. He was double-double every night, and they loved him. They didn't have any other superstars. He was the man. When he went to Cleveland, I was just with one of his teammates last night. They were talking about how much of a hard time they gave Kevin and how hard it was for Kevin, when he first came over to Cleveland, and how hard they were on him. And you saw his mental health go down. You saw he struggled with his confidence because it's environment. And so much of life is environment. And so, you just can't.
Preach, bro.
You can't flourish around criticism.
Right. Always being held down or criticized. Right. You can't. I love that about the Boston Celtics. Even to some extent, the San Antonio Spurs. But I don't know what's going on with them right now. But they could take guys you never heard of and made them really, really amazing. Maybe it's the recruiting, the farm system, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, it's culture and environment. So true.
It's Pop. Pop doesn't care. Pop would prefer a European international player because he doesn't want to deal with the AAU superstars. Right. He has no room for ego. That's why Steve Kerr does well, and Tim Duncan does well, and David Robinson. Think about the personality type of all the guys that do well. Tony Parker's from Paris, Manu Ginobili's international. All the guys that do well, think about the game of basketball. Danny Green is a type B, quiet personality. All the guys that do well in Pop system are not larger than life AAU players.
That's right. That's so true. That's so true.
Because they fit into his system.
Yeah, he might have a 5-talent system, but he'll take a 2-talent guy and make him a 5-talent guy. It's amazing.
Yeah. Do you think anybody was looking at Patty Mills going, man, I want that guy?
Yeah.
Pop was.
Yeah, I got a hat from Patty Mills, a Spurs hat. My daughter's friends played music. He loves Hawaii. So when he got married in Hawaii. He brought his whole crew over here. Bro, Thiago Split, all those guys were here. Manu Ginobili. I heard about it. I wanted to sneak in because that's kind of my team. You know, I'm from Hawaii. We don't have a team. You got to grab a team, right? Because you didn't grow up geographically. So that's my team. That's still my team. I'm still disappointed that the Claw left and he went to Toronto and kind of messed up. I don't want to dog, but kind of affected the culture a little bit. And I kind of noticed that. So it's interesting.
Absolutely.
Well, I'd love to talk about the greatness of that guy. Give me his name one more time. His name is
which guy?
Come back to him. Not the Claw. Yeah, the Claw.
Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi, one of the greatest players in the NBA right now.
I think he's the best. In my opinion, Kawhi Leonard is the best player in the NBA right now. Without Kevin Durant playing,
right? Kawhi
Leonard can't. There's nothing he can't do.
Yeah.
Now, of course, LeBron is right there, but I feel like Kawhi's got a few less years on his legs, got a little bit more bounce in his step, and his athleticism is just crazy. Now, Kawhi is not even close to the leader that LeBron is. LeBron is 10 times the leader. Because Kawhi doesn't – you ever see that video of Kawhi? They're getting ready to go out and play a game. One of his teammates come up to him in the tunnel and is like – goes to give him his fist pound, and Kawhi looks at his hand and just points out like, come on, man, let's go. Wouldn't even give his teammate a fist pound.
Yeah.
You know, the way he handled the Spurs situation, the way he handled everything in Toronto, he's a quiet guy. He's, you know, he absolutely bamboozled the Lakers and made the Lakers look stupid when he signed with the Clippers. He put Magic and those guys on pause and told them the wrong address. And he's just kind of a different guy. So he's not the leader or the communicator. That's why it's like, look, Draymond Green might not have the ability of a Kawhi, but he's a better leader. And what made Magic so great, at the end of the day, leadership is communication. So you cannot be a great leader and be a poor communicator. Those things don't exist.
So true.
And so Kawhi is a great basketball player.
Yeah.
He's not a great leader.
Right. Totally. Absolutely. Passive aggressive. That's not going to help you down in the long run. Great talent. Could have some baggage go along with that. Some long-term ramifications or some short-term. Okay. A couple more. Kyrie Irving.
Interesting. It's all great ball handler. Interesting guy.
Complicated. It's a little complicated. How's this? Zion Williamson.
Oh, can't take your eyes off him. I went right before this happened, right before COVID-19, he was playing here at Staples Center. I went, and we happened to have some friends that have courtside.
Right.
And so, you know, when the schedule comes out, he's like, which ones you want? I'm like, I want the Zion game. So Zion, you know, so we go to Zion night, and you just, I mean, when he touches the ball, you feel that the whole arena is just kind of like, what's about to happen? What's he going to do? And he did a few things that were just like, so this kid is like, I haven't seen anybody come into LA and get the crowd going like that. John Morant, you can say what you want. He's incredible, but he's not doing that to an arena.
No. John Morant's an incredible talent and athlete. But no, Zion just commands fear.
And by the way, we've been watching Zion for 5 years. He's been he's the first kid that's an actual YouTube sensation that has actually made it to the NBA. So I wish him great health. I really want to see his body do well, arrest his diet. And, you know, the wear and tear on that body, I hope it can last for, you know, a lot of years in the NBA because he's just built big, man. That guy's a trunk.
Hey, so, yeah, he is, bro. You got to clear the lane, man. Just get out of the way. Let him dunk. Just go right ahead. Let him dunk. Don't be in the highlight reel. Hey, what's the difference between championship makers and playoff contenders? What do you think is the gap between teams, like even in the church world and the business world, that make the playoffs but actually win championships? What's that gap in between?
That's such a good question. I don't know the answer. I don't feel like I've ever won a championship, but I feel like watching championship teams, it really takes a total commitment of the team. And it's a commitment to the team more than self. It's a commitment to conflict resolution. It's a commitment to the culture and the system. The culture has to trump any personality. And that's always top down, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about the San Antonio Spurs. You could talk about the Houston Rockets with Tom Janovich when he was the coach. You could talk about the culture. Why did Phil Jackson win, I think, 11 championship rings? He won 11 championship rings because of the culture he created. He created a culture of winning. Same with Bill Belichick, same with Nick Saban. It's a culture that you create. So the systems within the culture, the values within the culture, the disciplines within the culture, the excellence of the culture, but the ecosystem that you create around winning, to me, is everything. So the talent comes and goes, but it's the culture that, to me, is what separates. We watch the Steelers and we're like, that's a great team. You got Big Ben. You got a great running back with Antonio Brown's playing wide receiver. And what's his name that held out last year, the running back kid?
Le'Veon Bell.
Le'Veon Bell. And so you got great talent, but talent never wins championships. You look at the rosters that Brady has won with, not a lot of talent there. I mean, not Pro Bowl talent. So I think talent's overrated. I think culture trumps everything. And that, to me, is the gap between playoff and championship.
So good, bro. So good. Hey, everybody, listening to the Leader Lift, a.k.a. Holy Hoops, soon to be Holy Huddle podcast. So glad to have my really good friend, Chad Veach. Baller, golfer, pastorpreneur, or extraordinaire, you name it. Great, incredible speaker. You got to book him. I don't think you can get him, but you got to try and book him. Hey, listen to me. Check this out. GOAT. Who's the GOAT? NBA GOAT.
Oh, it's MJ. And I think Last Dance, if anybody was debating in barbershops and wondering and stats and mirror, it's like, hey, guess what? Just sit down and shut up and what episode you want to watch to prove? You want 1 or you want 7? You want 3 or you want 9? You want to go to 4? Doesn't matter. Any episode. This put every NBA player and every sports fan back into alignment. Don't come in here with your weak sauce argument. It's not even Bird. It's not even Magic. You put Wilt away. This guy was a single walking Beatles icon. He was at Michael Jackson fame. And this is before social media. He wasn't pushing his brand. He was the brand. And it's not even close. It's not in the same way that Tiger's the greatest golfer ever and Serena is the greatest women's tennis player ever. There are just certain categories of sports where it's like there's no debate.
Right. Hands down. Don't even talk to me if you're going to argue with me. There's no debate with Michael.
If you want to get into a debate if Kobe's better than LeBron, let's have that debate.
Okay.
If you want to debate Kareem versus Wilt or Wilt versus Bill Russell, let's have that debate. But if you want to debate GOAT, we shouldn't be friends because there's not a debate.
Chad, it's so good having you on the podcast. I really appreciate you, man. You're doing awesome. So excited for you. Thank you so much for giving your time also to hashtag You Matter. It's going to be really great this Friday. You're going to be on it. And every student that has the ability to watch that, or if you missed it, download it later on. It's going to be uplifting. Chad, we appreciate you. Looking forward to seeing you back here in Hawaii with Julia. Give my love to the kids and to your beautiful wife. Thank you for setting the pace and everybody watching you. You're doing amazing, bro. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I also just want to say real fast about Kyrie Irving, going back to Kyrie Irving real fast.
Yeah.
Interesting. I say interesting in context because, his favorite song is the theme song to the movie Rent, the play Rent. So that's why I say interesting. And Kyrie Irving is also the guy that does not believe that the earth is round. he also has a theory that it's flat. So that's why I say interesting. But I do want to go on record and say Kyrie Irving has a greater signature winning moment over LeBron. Kyrie has a better game-winning shot moment than LeBron James when he in Game 6 hit the step back in Steph's face to win the game. It's an all-time moment, so I respect his game and respect his ball handling. When I say interesting, I just want to bring context to that.
No, I totally get it. Totally get it. Thank you so much for bringing clarity to that, Chad. I appreciate you. God bless you, bro. Thank you so much.
Love you so much, man. I can't wait to see you soon. We're coming.
All right, bro. God bless. See ya.